Valaam's pride and joy is its transfiguration of the Saviour Cathedral, and the sound of its bells draw tourists, pilgrims and volunteers to worship or to work.
Let's work for the glory of God.
While the skilled workers cut, hammer and replace, the volunteers keep supplies coming and clean up the mess. It's a massive job. The cathedral is 76 meters high, and in some areas they're having to remove more than 120 years of dirt.
When I came here last year, it was in approximately the same condition.
Yeah, it's a long process.
This is serious work. It's very expensive and requires a high degree of professionalism. I was surprised when they invited volunteers to work here. At best, they're trusted with work like this. Is it enough, or do we need more?
I think it's enough.
You'll have to carry it. Let's go. Is it heavy?
This is doing wonders for my back.
I'll take it.
All the waste has to go somewhere, and as Sergei and I are responsible for getting it off the scaffolding as quickly as possible, we need to take the direct route.
The bucket and pulley. A primitive transport system, but it works.
For 40 years it had no proper roof. It wasn't looked after properly. And still it endured all these conditions. That only means that the cathedral was made really very well. It was built with a huge margin for safety. The cathedral will stand like this for many years to come. Now we're trying to save what's being preserved. This work should be done, and it should be preserved. This is truly part of the national heritage.
Не для меня придет весна, не для меня дон разольется, и сердце девичье забьется с восторгом чувств не для меня, не для меня. В Валааме есть особая черта. Это природа, которая говорит о Боге, да? Это, естественно, люди, в каждом из которых я вижу здесь Бога, да? Это нас объединяет. Остров, общая работа вместе, богослужение.
Lika and her team of volunteers want their children to leave Valaam with a new perspective also. The work they do here fosters a spirit of cooperation, and they can see their efforts developing before their eyes.
It's so real here. It's hard to explain. Everything is so natural. This is the way people should live, I guess.
We wanted to show these children that there's a place where they can ask for help in case something really bad happens to them. They understand completely that bad things will happen to them in the future. They're perfectly aware of what life has in store for them. They know that there will be a lot of drug dealers and alcohol, and they understand how hard it is to resist those things. So it's very important for them to know that there is a place where they're always welcome. They should know how to find the way to this place.
Walking around Valaam is like stepping back into a different age, and it's easy to see why so many regard it as a sanctuary away from the real world. It seems to have a physical and emotional energy, which the monks say is a manifestation of God's grace. It's had such a profound effect on so many that there's even a syndrome named after it, Valaamka, the compulsion to return to the island again and again. And it's not just adults who experience it.
My mom first brought me here before I started going to school.
I liked it very much, and it's become my favorite place now.
Why is it your favorite place?
I like it because of its weather, because of the monastery. It feels so good in here. They've got a farm, it's nice to live here, people are very kind.
Do you know what you want to do when you grow up?
To be a monk.
You want to be a monk? Why?
It's just what's in my heart. I can't explain why I feel this way.
And live here?
Yes, I want to live on Valaam.
What he truly wants at this point is not to be a monk, but he wants purpose. He wants something pure, something which dignifies him, something which speaks of him as a man, as a human being. People became knights and soldiers for the same reason. I would certainly encourage him.
Father Joseph's journey to the Brotherhood here was more unusual than most. After attending university in St. Petersburg, he spent 15 years living and ministering in the US before retiring to Valaam. He says each monk must earn his place in the monastery.
Spiritual pastors of the monastery will decide whether you're prepared to become a novice. You'll become officially a novice and a part of the Brotherhood and spend some time that way. And a few years or maybe months later, if you still decide to embrace this kind of life and people see you as a benefit to the community, you'll be tonsured and perhaps even ordained to the priesthood.
The monastic community here has been rebuilt in the last 20 years after a period during the Soviet Union when the area served as a mental asylum. Now there are around 100 brothers living here permanently. But before the Russian Revolution of 1917, there were more than 1,000, some of whom left a legacy down the ages.
This quiet scene is called the Smolensk Skeet, and it's famous in particular because of one monk, Ephraim. He took it upon himself to pray for the souls of dead soldiers, and he took his work so seriously that he dug his own grave, and every night he would lie in his own coffin. And ever since then, the chapel has been dedicated for the souls of those who died for the faith and for the motherland.
Even if a life of extreme self-sacrifice doesn't appeal, it is at least possible to follow in the footsteps of some of these old saints. And one of the most popular pilgrimages is to Valaam's most famous hermit.
This is the cave where Saint Alexander of Sphere lived. This is the place where Alexander of Sphere spent hours praying in solitude. Here he would make a fire. The stones got warm and gave heat back, so he could spend winters here. He led such a righteous life that he was granted a vision. The Holy Trinity came to him in the form of 3 angels and ordered him to go to the river Sphere and found a monastery there. It is still functional.
Excursions like these are part of the joy of Valaam. There's an archipelago of small islands just waiting to be explored, and the landscape always provides some great photos. But many of Valaam's secrets are only revealed in the churches themselves. Bell ringing here is a real art, and the campanologists train for years to master the difficult rhythms. They need to control up to 12 bells at once and make it look effortless. It's part of Valaam's proud musical tradition, displayed in its full glory during the solemn services.
I think we should fill our lives with as many rich and diverse impressions as possible. Today I'm at Valaam. In 2 months I'll be working somewhere else. In such a way, your worldview builds up on different things. You can develop yourself and create your personality.
This earth is like a hotel. We're only here temporarily. We choose where we'll go, to hell or to heaven. God tests us on the earth. If you obey me and follow my laws, then you'll go to heaven. If you don't, then you'll go to hell.
We have to move on in this life. Here you get some kind of luggage that you will later take with you into the city. We have to move on, make plans, build families, and realize in your family what you've learned here.
But moving back to real life is easier for some than for others. The children from Lika's orphanage camp have reached the end of their stay, and it was time to see them off at the docks. It's clear to Lika that these aren't the same kids that arrived on the island just a few weeks ago. That at least for a while, Valaam has worked its magic and brought a little joy into their lives. But it can't make this moment any less painful. Perhaps the monks of old settled here because they felt there was something otherworldly about Valaam, that it was always a place with special energy, either from nature or from something more divine. For the pilgrims and volunteers who journey here, one visit is rarely enough, and many will return to Valaam, a place with the power to heal the spirit.